It was so long since we saw any new episodes of Rick and Morty, before suddenly, burger time, a new episode appeared out of nowhere in April 2017. Whether you're a Rick and Morty fanatic keeping up with every episode, or someone new wondering why everyone is suddenly talking about a McNugget sauce from 1998, we got the details of the Season 3 premiere covered. Hi, I'm Justin with Channel Frederator, and we're here to give you 7 facts about Rick and Morty Season 3, Episode 1, The Rickshank Redemption. Let's get started before you can cry out, Wubba Lubba Dub Dub! Before the surprise premiere of Season 3, we hadn't had a new episode of Rick and Morty since the Season 2 finale in fall 2015, and quite understandably, the multitudes of hardcore Rick and Morty fans have been chomping at the bit for more. Well, Dan Harmon invited fans to place the blame for the delay entirely on himself. Quote, "Rick and Morty keeps taking longer and longer to write, and I don't know why," he said in January 2017. Though of course there's an entire room of writers on Rick and Morty, and Harmon also mentioned that there was more in good spirit fighting going on about the show's direction. Not like I hate you, I'm gonna choke you fights, more like this joke is funnier fights. And lastly, at the end of the day, it's up to Adult Swim, not Harmon or Roiland, when Rick and Morty airs, so us kids have to wait for the prime time or whatever. Also, drawing things does take a while, but hey, at least we had their recreation of the Georgia vs. Denver Fenton Allen trial to tide us over. The Season 3 premiere was the most epic April Fool's joke that's not actually a joke in recent memory. It was completely unannounced, taking fans by absolute surprise when Adult Swim began looping the episode on air and on their website on the night of April 1st. It was so sudden that many were initially skeptical that this could be possibly the real deal. Adult Swim Australia, in their infinite wisdom, promised fans an exclusive look into the opening scene of Season 3. They gave the video the very ominously vague title Rick and Morty New Clip, and when fans clicked on it, it was just a supercut of characters saying the lyrics to Never Gonna Give You Up, all taken from Seasons 1 and 2. This made many fans angrier than Mr. Meeseeks, who, if you remember, has been forced to stay alive for a grueling 24 hours. But earlier on April 1st, a fan nagged Harmon on Twitter for Season 3. Harmon's reply in retrospect was a dead giveaway. Quote, "What if I waved a magic wand and made the first episode of Season 3 premiere tonight? Is that what you'd want?" End quote. Of course the fan as well as everyone else wanted that, but no one dared to think Harmon was this serious, which he obviously enjoyed, as he rubbed in the fan's face as soon as the episode aired, "Happy now, motherfucker," but that was literally the only hint we got. If that agent's voice sounded familiar to you, it's probably because you've watched Firefly or Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog or Castle. In other words, you recognize Nathan Fillion. By the way, since he's met with such an unfortunate demise, we may also mention that the agent has a name, Corvelius Daniel, and he's a Gromflemite. There have been Gromflemites in Rick and Morty dating all the way back to the pilot, including objectively one of the best one-episode wonders, Crumbopolis Michael. Anyway, it's also worth noting that the Season 3 premiere followed Rick and Morty's tried-and-true titling method of taking on unabashedly terrible puns. This one's called The Rickshank Redemption, an obvious reference to the 1994 film The Szechuan Redemption. In case classic 90s dramas aren't your vibe, The Szechuan Redemption is about Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins planning a jailbreak through some tunnels. See what they did there? It all happened so fast and in such a whirlwind of excitement that you probably didn't have the breath when the episode was over to sit back and contemplate everything that happened. But The Rickshank Redemption did the most violent shaking up of the universe since Season 1's epic Rick Potion number 9, known to most as the Cronenberg episode, and this will contain major spoilers, so you're warned. Remember, we know that our Rick is Rick C-137. We actually don't know that about our Morty though, but we'll get to that soon. And we know this universe is neither our Rick nor Morty's original. Anyway, Summer first digs up the body of her original Rick and steals his portal gun, just in case you've wondered if she forgot about that. Then, Rick body jumps multiple times, so that mind of Rick C-137 is no longer in the body of Rick C-137, which has the potential to be incredibly confusing for intergalactic authorities if any kind of government can keep itself together after that economy crash. In any case, it's great for our Rick, bad for, like, literally anyone else. Lastly, let's briefly talk about how the Smith family that we followed for the first 5.5 episodes of the series until Rick and Morty jumped dimensions to escape the Cronenberg catastrophe died in this episode. Let's repeat, the protagonists that introduced us to the series were killed. Do you feel that weird numbness to that knowledge? That's the price of interdimensional travel. Just to warn you guys, more major spoilers are ahead. Morty spends the entire episode trying to prove to Summer that Rick is not a hero and that bad things happen when you get involved with him. There's been ample development of Morty's dark side throughout season 2, perhaps most notably in the penultimate episode, Look Who's Purging Now, where Morty basically discovers his capacity to kill. After harping on why Rick is a damaging presence again and again, Morty uses that capacity in a very deliberate way and attempts to shoot Rick to kill. Of course, the gun was a fake, but Morty totally knew that. This thread of character development has led some to speculate that our very Morty, often called the first Morty in fan communities, is destined to become the evil Morty from season 1's Close Encounters of the Rick kind. Oof, those puns. However, it seems unlikely, considering that evil Morty appeared concurrently in time with the first Morty, and that Harmon and Roland have both said they are adamantly anti-time travel, despite the contents of Rick's supposed fake origin story from this episode. And stopping time is different, apparently. Besides, the theory that evil Morty is actually Morty C-137 and that the first Morty is not is quite intriguing indeed, but that's another matter entirely. Regardless of how the first Morty relates to evil Morty, it's pretty clear that our own Morty's arc is headed into some pretty dark territory indeed. The other popular fan theory that seemed for one bright, shining moment to get its own Rickshank Redemption was Rick's origin story, i.e. why did he abandon Beth and what happened to his wife? Many fans have capitulated for a long time that Rick's backstory featured a tragedy, very similar to the one shown in this episode, which led to Rick C-137 jumping into an alternate universe where Beth wasn't dead. Except, psych, that memory was a total fake, or was it? Honestly, given Rick's tendency to cover up his emotions behind all kinds of diversions, brash excuses, and non sequiturs, fans have been quick to point out that it's not impossible that there was some truth to that memory behind all of that pizzazz of Shoney's and Szechuan Sauce. So, speaking of that sauce, Rick's craving for McDonald's 1998 Mulan Szechuan McNugget dipping sauce becomes a rather unexpected central plot point of this episode, and potentially the whole series. 9 more seasons, Morty. And no sooner had the episode aired than Rick's craving literally became all of our craving too, and the whole ordeal went legitimately viral. To the supreme annoyance of all McDonald's employees, April 2nd was largely spent telling waves of Rick and Morty fans that no, they haven't carried that Szechuan sauce since 1998. But it didn't stop there. McDonald's was immediately bombarded with tweets from Rick and Morty fans in their wild yearning. Even a change.org petition to bring back the sauce appeared that almost had 35,000 signatures at the time of the writing of this video. The frenzy got so intense that McDonald's actually responded to the Rick and Morty Twitter account, simply with McNugga Lubba Dub Dub, which, how cute, I guess, right? Think it doesn't get any weirder? Well, the collective craving got so intense that a container of the sauce sold for $14,700 on eBay. Eesh. If you think the sauce was lovingly kept by someone waiting for this unavoidable long-destined moment of cultural craving, well, you'd be wrong. The sauce packet in question was found by a man who bought a really old car and was cleaning it out, meaning it was sitting amidst dust in a car for 20 years, and in defense whoever bought that auction, it came with some McDonald's wasabi sauce as well, so I guess you could say they got a pretty great deal. But will the rest of us who don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spare on this ever get to taste this legendary sauce? A McDonald's spokesperson told USA Today that, quote, "We never say never," end quote. And the corporate chef of McDonald's said, quote, "He'd see what he can do," end quote. With the live action version of Mulan coming out in 2018, it looks like we might not have to wait 97 years after all. Now that you've more or less come to terms with the fact that craving that sweet, spicy Szechuan sauce is now an essential part of your core being, you might naturally be wondering, when are we going to get the rest of season 3? Unfortunately, right now we can say nothing more specific than this summer, but chin up, old pal, because there's a widespread rumor that season 3 will contain 14 episodes, a swell upgrade from the usual 10. Plus, we know the name of episode 2, Rick Mansing the Stone. Meanwhile, if you're lucky enough to own an Oculus Rift or HTC Vive, there's a brand new Rick and Morty VR game called Virtual Reality to keep you occupied. It's supposedly pretty great. Better than a Plumbus? And that's the way the news goes. I'm Justin from Stuff with Scoutfly, and thanks for watching 7 Facts About Rick and Morty Season 3, Episode 1. Or do you have any precious memories of that sweet Szechuan dipping sauce you'd like to share? If so, tell us in the comment section down below, and click that little bell icon to become part of that awesome notification squad. You can check out more from me in the description down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new daily videos, and always remember, Frederator loves you.